Hi, this is Josh, also known as Cpgeek, and today I'm going to be tearing down my uh, GPU and its associated water block. In a previous stream recently, I went ahead and cleaned it all out, and repasted it, put it all back together, thinking that I would just go ahead and pop it into my new machine and plumb up my loop. But I decided that I really want to go ahead and test this out with my new motherboard in a complete system, do a little bit of burn testing before I go ahead and plumb up a new water cooling loop, bending all those tubes and getting everything all set. Um, I will be doing that on stream sometime in the next week or so, or at least begin bending tubes and all of that jazz. That takes so much time. I don't know if we'll do it all on stream, but we'll see how that works out. But today, I figured I would do a little time attack challenge and see how long it'll take me to properly, keyword properly, take apart the block from the card and put on the OEM cooler, which I just located in my cleaning of the lab. Clean. Look at this place. It's still pretty much a mess, but at least a slightly more organized mess. And that's slowly improving as well as I can find time. Yeah, please bear with me here, and I'll start ripping this down soon. Um, but first, if you are new here, please head on over to Cpgeek.org. There you'll find links to the Discord where you can hang out and talk about your projects, my projects, stream, what's going on. All kinds of talk about everything from IT stuff to music stuff to water cooling projects to a little bit of talk about crypto to tons and tons of other things. 3D printing is a big thing that I'm into. Virtual reality stuff, as you can see over here, a couple of VR headsets that I need to organize into the shelf there. Um, but yeah, always on Discord, and please come on by, hang out over there when I'm not on stream, and I'm always available to chat. There's a bunch of really cool folks who hang out there, so please come on board. Also at Cpgeek.org, you'll find some of my YouTube videos, some project notes. There's a link to the YouTube channel. I haven't posted much there very recently, but I will be very shortly doing some more edited content. I haven't done that in a little while. I need to get back in the groove, but I have been doing the occasional live stream. And if you like the content that you see or anything that I just talked about, please go ahead and hit the follow button down below. If you're watching this on YouTube later on, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I will be posting some of the excerpts from my streams as well as some, like I said, more edited content up on the YouTube channel at some point later. Also, if you go over to cpgeek.org, there is a Facebook page if you're interested in going on over there, chatting about various things that I post about here and there. And finally, I'm a real social guy if you can't tell. I'm available at CPGeek on Twitter. If you want to hit me up, that's a good place to do it there too. I get notifications all the time of folks who want to talk about various things, so please go ahead and do that there. Without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and switch cameras here. Okay, there we go. This is my GPU here. It is a 3090 Gaming X Trio. You've been watching for long, you probably have seen this in other streams. As far as streams that I've done, I did go ahead and clean up the block a little bit. I could always use some shining up and that kind of thing, but otherwise it is in a together state. Um, just repasted with an MX5. I'm really annoyed that I have to go ahead and get rid of that paste in this particular instance. But I do have, 20 grams of the stuff, so it's just fine by me. Um, First off, I need to locate the appropriate screwdrivers before we start the clock here. I think these are supposed to be T10s. I think. I'll have to find that. And then some number 0 Phillips on the back. That should be nice and easy. All right. So let's go ahead and track that down. Me being my usual unprepared self, I didn't do anything there. Actually, I think that these tips were here from the last time I broke into this thing. This is a T9 bit. It's actually not fitting, so maybe these are T12s. Okay. Should have that screwdriver over here, though. This is a number 0 screwdriver, so that's good for those. There's my T6. I don't remember what I was using that for. Definitely not for this. Maybe 3. Where did my T12 go? All right. So here we are. I believe that this is the correct screwdriver, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, this is a T15, so this isn't correct either. There it is. Fell off my desk. It's always something. All right. So, as I said, this is going to be time attack. I have both my 0 and my. What is this? I know this fits. Oh, that's the number 1. This. T10. Called it. Yep, that fits properly. I think it's more of a T11, but it'll work. All right, so let's go ahead and set this in frame. So I'm just gonna set a stopwatch here. Now, as far as this whole time attack deal, I'm not going to go faster than I'm comfortable with, but I would like to see how fast that I can do this. Let's get this in frame. Let's upright a little bit. That it's through on camera okay. Yeah, that's not terrible. Let's zoom in just a tad. There we are. Okay, so I'm actually going to do this and pause in the middle. So I'm going to remove the block, pause the timer, and then get the new block out, the OEM cooler, which is right behind me here in the box, and get that out before I put it on. I know it should be probably part of the time attack deal, but sue me. That's the way I'm doing it, and that's the way I'll try it in the future when I go to switch them back in a few days. And I'll go ahead and stream that as well to see which direction was faster. So, actually, it occurs to me that shouldn't even need the Torx driver in this case. That's just to remove the top part of the block here. Wasn't thinking. Sorry for the delay. Anyhow, without further ado, let's go ahead and start the timer and get working. All right, so first thing we're going to do is flip the card over and remove the backplate. I'm going to just set the screws aside. Thankfully, the backplate on this is all the same size screws. Now, I'm actually going to be reusing this same backplate. Actually, do I even need to remove the backplate in this case? Yes, I do, because the screws that hold the backplate on go into the block. Sorry, I had to puzzle that out in my head for a couple of seconds. Oop, don't scratch that. And as the new water block that I'm using actually has an active backplate, this will probably be the last time that I utilize this backplate when I get everything together. So here I am just removing all the backplate screws at the same time. Your ferrous screws and the magnetic screwdriver, so that's helping me out just a little bit to pull the screws out of their holes, because otherwise it's kind of annoying to get into. And that's all the screws out of the back plate at 1:38. And just very gently pull the back plate off, wiggling it around a little bit. There are some thermal pads that hold on the back plate, as you see here, to the cooler, to the memory chips and CPU block, or GPU block. Words, I'm trying to act quickly here. So when removing the cooling system, I'm applying a decent amount of pressure as this is under load, and I'm actually going to gently pull the two screws out similar intervals. We're going to loosen all of them a little bit and unscrew them one by one, the way that these are done. They're all a little bit backed off. Let's lose this one completely, while I'm applying pressure with the screwdriver as well, so that I don't accidentally launch the screwdriver up out of the screw here. Two. I'm going opposite corners. Make sure the pressure is relatively even. I don't want anything moving that I don't want to. Three. Because if I slide with the screwdriver, it's all over for this card. And four. Alright, so cooling bracket can be removed. And the block should be completely free now. Yep. Okay. Block is off. I'm going to include cleanup in the timing here, because cleanup does take a little bit of time. So I'm going to use this clean alcohol wipe that has dried. It's still clean. It has never been used. The alcohol has dried on it. Applying some additional rubbing alcohol that I happen to have here. And I'm going to gently remove the MX5 that I had put on here in the last stream. A little sad to see it go. I'm actually going to reapply MX5. I don't have to be super careful on the cleanup here, just so I can get the majority of it off, so there's not like huge clump or anything. You know what? I've never even nope, strike that. I did turn this on, but it was never used under load. It was only used in 2D to make sure that it turned on and worked. I thought that was all the burn testing I was going to do, but I decided that I wanted to do some additional burn testing. So here we are. MX5 is non-conductive, so it doesn't really matter if I get too much of it everywhere. I'm also going to clean off the block a little bit. Okay. And you know what? I'll call that good. So stop at 5 minutes, 15 seconds on the timer. Make sure that's in frame. Yep. And this is basically the setup that we have here right now. There's the cooling block. There's the GPU. Back just a little bit. And the GPU has been more or less cleaned up. The face of the GPU is totally clean. I just have a little bit of um, MX5 on the outside there. So now that the block is clear, I'm not exactly sure what we have in the way of thermal pads. So before I put away the old block, break out the OEM solution. I just put it back in the box here for safekeeping. Try to keep my boxes for reselling stuff later on down the road. Doesn't always work out that way. All right, so this is a big honkin' cooler. Clean it up before. Cooler, and I've got some screws. Got some thermal pads. Looks like most of the thermal pads that I am actually going to need are in here already. Oh, there's this sub-assembly. Crap, I don't remember how this goes back together, so this is going to take me a while. Well, okay. The time attack aspect might actually go out the window, depending on how things go. How does this even work? Hmm. I know that there's this middle part that's got to go somewhere. It gets sandwiched. I believe that all of these thermal pads accommodated for. So, it goes this way. Yeah, it's like this. So this is these. This is for these. This is for these. These apparently don't get one of these. No, these don't get one of these. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's fine. And this covers these down here. Okay, that works. But first, I gotta figure out how this middle part works. Set this aside for a minute. Go on the front or the back? Gotta go on the front. Yes, I see now. So the rear IO bracket comes off. This goes down. The rear IO bracket holds this on. That's how that works. Okay. All right. So, given the orientation, let's flip this around, right? No. No, that's the appropriate orientation for. Okay. So, let's move these thermal pads to where they go. All right, so that should be more or less good. Of note, I'm not actually going to be reusing the thermal pads that are on this block. In fact, I'm not going to be reusing this block. It's a whole new block that I picked up. Um, all right, so now that that's over there, I'll go ahead and restart set this aside, and then I'll restart the timer. Set this in the box for now. You have its box appropriately around here as well. So let's go ahead and restart the timer here. I'll go ahead and start and lap. All right, so you go ahead and remove this rear IO bracket. Apparently that camera's gone fuzzy. There we go. So there's one screw, and then there's the other. Okay. That comes off. This goes down. Oh, good. There's thermal pads there. Good, good. Goes here. Yep, line for that. This goes back into place. Oh, looks like I didn't actually have to remove that. Okay, well, I'm learning. Whoa. Oh, well, it's not going in. Holes weren't aligned. Okay. I think the back screws hold that down, or maybe it's sandwiched. Um, I'm not completely positive. I do know, however, that I need to remove the thermal paste that's on here. That paste is gross. One of these clean alcohol wipes. Might even be the original thermal paste. Really caked on in there. All right, I'm gonna need, I think, looks like these copper heat pipes are actually a little uneven. I don't like mixing thermal compounds, but not sure how much effort I'm willing to put into cleaning between them. That's even a viable option. About as good as I can get that as far as getting it cleaned up. Come over here. Now that that's there, goes like this. Okay, yeah, that has to be held down by the other side. Because I know that these two are going to be from underneath, and if the others line up to backplate as well. Yep, these two up here line up. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to kind of leave that there. Doesn't look like it's shorting anything out. Like there's appropriate thermal material on the other side there to make that work. That's just designed to sit there exactly like that. Like there are a couple of screws on the side here. I don't think that I'll have those. I do have the original screws here. I'm not sure what sizes are and whatnot. Yeah. I'm gonna keep going with the block screws. Hope that I don't screw this up. I think that's my best way forward. So I guess the next step is thermal compound. Oh, lost my clock here. Go. Coming up on 14 minutes. Going with the X and the dot method. I'm actually going to do a quick spread Use this, the dry non-alcohol part of the one I was using to clean. I'm just doing a nice even layer of Arctic MX5 across the top of this here. Good measure for squishability because this is an uneven surface on this block. I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit more MX5 to the center. That will squish out. Just a little plop in the middle. On. Not too much, not too little. All right, that's pretty good for squeezing out the sides. Stuff loves to go everywhere. All right. Set that aside. Okay, so there's 4 connectors, 2 on either side, which is kind of a giant pain in the butt. But I'm gonna go through with it anyway. So I'm gonna try to connect these up as I'm putting it on, also without breaking them. That would suck. 2. Works. It's on its side so I can get access to these. Black one. Oh, very tiny connectors. Very easy to get all wrong. Just got the first one in. Red one. Thankfully, the cables on these are long enough to be forgiving. Thank you, engineer, that gave us some extra long cables. Okay, that one's in. Hope that's for something important and not just like, you know, an RGB feature or something like that. Okay. Good. Sandwich these together. Right place. Side. That bracket lined up as I can. And up the holes. best as I can. That thermal compound down. Exactly the orientation that I need it. Okay. Middle piece dropped that. If I can make this work. Got the feeling that these are completely different screws. That one seems to go okay. Do work. Hard when the that middle part is pulling away on me. Yeah, so these screws are too long for that part. Kind of what I figured. I have to different screws. Okay. Found a little baggie in here that has 4 screws that are separate from the others. I got a feeling that it's exactly for this. But also the back plate has to go on first, I think. Let's come out with the rest of the cooler in place. Maybe. No, not easily anyway. I don't like this intermediate heatsink thing design. Anyway, get this going at least. That's not the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Alright, so just like last time, I'm going to start with one, get it started. Takes quite a bit of pressure in order to get that in. Alright, so that's a few turns in, get that started. Now, opposite one requires some force to push down in there. That started a few turns, make sure it doesn't pop out of its socket. Alright, go to the next one, force going across. That started this one. Doesn't seem to want to line up. Takes more pressure than I'm comfortable with. Okay. Back to the original one. Lock this down. each one, doing it a few turns, cross pattern here to get even mounting pressure. Okay, that one's in. Man, my hand's tired. In. In. And last one. Cool. That looks like it's good. Now that that's happened, quick look at the clock. 25 minutes. Hi, Mom. Okay. Oh, gotta take out that test screw. Up. Good. Make sure all the thermal pads are in place where they should be. Like everything matches up. It's all original stuff anyway. I don't think I had to pull anything out of there. Okay. Now let's see if these longer screws are still going to have problems now that I have a back plate here. Oh, okay, that was it. Needed the back plate in place in order to get the distance required for these screws. So I think that the longer screws here should work all the way around. Yep. In fact, I think we're using the OEM backplate as I did. These are probably the original screws anyhow. Now I'm only doing these finger tight, and then I'll go back around just so I can get even mounting pressure. I want to get a little bit of a clamping force on this back side because these cards have memory on the back side, so they're notorious for getting hot. In fact, my new water cooling design has an active backplate. So it's actually water cooled on the front and the back this time around. I think that the reassembly of this card was actually easier than I thought it would be. I thought I would have to solve way more problems than this. But it looks like it was just a matter of, appropriately attach the GPU heatsink retention mechanism, then put the screws in the backplate. That whole little intermediate uh, heatsink thingy in place. And looks like everything is going well. Get in there. All right, so this one I'm actually going to wrench down so I can start, not wrench down too hard, but so it's reasonable tightness going all the way around, giving everything sort of a snugging down. I want those thermal pads to be making good contact all the way around the card. Well, I think that's it. Oh, two more screws. These last two screws are probably what holds the bracket to the that middle portion here. How the heck do they? Ah, I see. You do it from this side. Yep. That's exactly what these two screws are for. But it also looks like they don't line up. Means that this middle bracket portion is probably out of alignment, period, which means that I have to unscrew it. Okay, so this one, this one, this one. One. I thought there was only 4 of them that hold in this mid-plane bracket. Thermal pads are appropriately engaged. Oh, I see what's wrong. When I put the screws in for the this backplane bracket, it's I put the bracket in incorrectly. So it goes in the bottom, not the top. There we go. Problem solved. Everything should line up now, and I can just drop those screws back in place. My bad. If that's my biggest problem doing this job, I'm pretty happy with it. However, the wrong size screw interfering with the backplane. Okay, well, I'm gonna take that out. Or backplate it's interfering with, pushing it out. So this screw doesn't go there. I'm I'm gonna use this one, which is a shorter version of the same. That'll just work. Yep. It does not interfere with the backplate. Good. And this other same short screw go into this mid plane here. Should be 2 of those. I'm gonna use this longer one on the top where it's not going to make a big difference. I know for a fact it's not where it goes, but it's not going to interfere with anything. So I'm okay with it. Now, once again, go ahead and put these back plate screws in that hold down the mid plane. Actually fully torquing these because I know for a fact there's nothing on the other side but one section of thermal pads, which will snug up against their chips. Only 4 screws for that, so not a problem if I snug them all right now. No special mounting pressure, they're just normal thermal pads. There, that's it. Stop. 3727.89. So I'm curious if it will take me longer or shorter period of time to install the dual-sided water cooler block that I have. So if you all are interested in that, please go ahead and make sure that you're subscribed to this channel or follow, that is, on Twitch. Subscribe if you're watching this later on YouTube. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. My RTX 3090 Gaming X Trio is more or less back to its factory condition with new thermal paste. Everything appears to be the way that it should be. All of the thermal pads are there and appropriately engaged. Everything is plugged in properly. Never hurts to do a a quick walk around kind of inspection, which I'm doing here. And I don't really see any problems. Everything went back together pretty cleanly, other than the problems that I talked about already. And I'll go ahead and drop this into my workstation and give it a burn test for a few days. Just want to make absolutely certain that this will work okay with the new motherboard, with the old processor and old RAM, and all of the other things that I have working with, and that it's not going to crash on me before I go ahead and install the full-on water cooling solution with the new CPU block and the new GPU block that I was talking about. Just a quick preview. I got the XC7 RGB Pro water block. This will look pretty once it's all lit up. It looks pretty much identical to the block that I had on there before. That was an XC7 RGB, the non-pro version. The difference is that this has way more fins on the inside of it for water to flow through. So heat transfer should be more efficient. I'll do a non-scientific A/B test when I start the benchmarking process on that. Um, in terms of two, it's another Bykski. It looks almost identical to the previous GPU block. However, let's switch to the other camera for a second. Um, However, this has an active backplate, so I'm not going to use the black backplate that is on the other cooler. This will go in its place. There's all the screws for the backplate stuff. This is a nickel-plated copper plate, so it's going to be way better at thermal transfer for all of the rear side memory. Um, and the fluid will go through here. I do wish that this was clear instead of frosted. It's not a focusing problem with the camera. It's actually, frosted instead of being clear like the rest of the block is. So you can't see the fluid quite as good go through there, which I really like in my water cooling builds. There's the active backplate that I really, really, really wanted to implement, which is why I got a whole new block. The other part of this block is almost identical to what I had before, but it comes with a new terminal block setup. Where's the edge of the package? So this is the new block. The top of it is clear, just like the other one. The design is almost identical. I really wish that the backplate block was clear instead of the frosted, but the terminal design is a little bit different though, and that's to go with these new these new water block terminals. And the reason this is necessary is because these terminals will work with both the top and bottom part of this block simultaneously. I think I just dropped an O-ring, which I will find later if that's the case. But see here, um, there's the inlet from below and the outlet from the top. And the deal with this is that you cap off these two parts and it goes straight through both blocks at the same time. So it'll go through the bottom, return, go up, and then go through the top, return, and then go up to the next component, which in my loop is going to be the CPU. So yeah, it looks rather nice, well built. But this is basically the magic that enables the card to be sandwiched between these. So I'll go ahead and be installing this hopefully within the next week or so once I'm ready to start work on plumbing the loop into the new workstation. Again, the reason I am putting the original thermal situation back on the GPU is because I want to go ahead and burn that in to make sure everything works before I go through the trouble of water cooling and getting all of that together, and then something be wrong with stuff. That's the preview for today. Knew I dropped an O-ring. They gave me a spare. It was rather nice of them, I think. Set that in the box there. Go through all this stuff later. And Mom says, glad it seemed to go smoothly for you. And yes, me too. I'm certainly glad that that was more or less the case. Although, if I weren't as experienced with the process of putting this block on and taking it off, as I have done it a couple of times recently, this would have been slightly more problematic. But given that experience with cleaning up water block in the last stream, um, things are way easier. So given that the next step in the arrangements for my workstation is to put this in and test it. I'm actually streaming right now from that very same workstation. I put it all back together in an air-cooled situation. It's currently running a 2080 Ti, my previous graphics card, as well as the new motherboard, old processor, old RAM, and stuff. So this card will go in that system as soon as the stream is concluded, and I can begin doing some burn testing. So again, thank you for tuning in. Once again, my name is Josh, also known as Cpgeek. If you're interested in this kind of IT hardware stuff, or VR, 3D printing, anything along those nerdy lines, please go on over to Cpgeek.org, where you'll find the links to Discord, Twitter, Facebook page, as well as notes on some of my other projects, as well as my YouTube channel if you're interested in watching some of my previous work. Otherwise, I'm a real social guy. You can find me on Discord pretty much all times of the day and night. So please do go on over there and hit me up, and I will certainly be around. Once again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next live stream, which will probably be at some point in the next, maybe at some point this weekend, if things go really well. Now, that's enough for me. CP Geek out.